What does it look like to take things slow, and how can you take the relationship so that it's the appropriate speed? See, I look at it very differently. Number one is that every single person has a different way and method and appreciation for the modality and the way and the method at which they appreciate things and how they can appreciate it and in what format and what sequence of events. Let me say it in a different way. Every single person is different in the way that they accept and appreciate information and behaviors and the method in which it's presented to them. And so you approach it very differently. And here's you approach it. It's not a matter of speed. The way I look at it is that I approach relationships as organically as possible. And what I encourage you to do is to approach relationships so that it blooms on its own. It occurs naturally and organically, as opposed to happening unorganically and unnaturally. In other words, it's forced, it's coerced, it's too manufactured. The way to form a natural and organic relationship, I'll give you a method in which you could do that. There's many ways to do it. But I want you to look at it in this way. Opportunities occur at the outset and every occasion in the relationship. Opportunities occur for you to escalate. Opportunities occur often when you're dealing with people to escalate, to take things to a different level, take things to a higher level. For example, if you're just meeting somebody, to escalate that is to demonstrate to them, communicate to them, hey, I like you. I'd like to get to know you better. I'd love to get your number. Are you open to having a relationship of some sort? That's just one form of escalating things. Perhaps you go to a surface level communication into a deep level communication, into a communication where you'd like to prolong, to have a more persistent or longer version of that short communication. Or you could just say, or a form of escalation is to get their number. Or a form of escalation is to get them to live with you. Whatever that format occurs. Now, how can you know? Here's the question. Here's what you're really asking if you want to take things slow. How can you know it's in the format and in the modality in which they would appreciate that sequence? In other words, are they prepared to engage with these opportunities or not? How do you know that? And how do you manage that in a relationship? And so I approach things organically and naturally. But how do I know? How do I build that intuition? You build that intuition through, number one, experience is the best teacher. There's no other way to build confidence other than experience. Confidence without experience is arrogance. You could be confident all about making a sale, but if you've never sold anything, it's arrogance. You could be confident all you want about riding a bike, but if you've never ridden a bike, even though you've read all the books about riding a bike, it's arrogance. Poor estimation, poor communication. And so, I like to communicate. I want to introduce to you, if you haven't been introduced to it already, if you haven't heard me talk about it already, the 3 kinds of expectation management. And it's incredibly crucial in your communication. And I'll give you some examples of how that shows up or how it sounds like when it comes from out of my mouth when I'm trying to communicate expectation management. In terms of how you know whether someone is prepared to accept or appreciate the escalation that you're presenting. Like I told you before, opportunities happen often. And here's how you know whether or not they're prepared to accept that thing. And there's no other way, because you're not a mind reader, you're not a magician. No matter how empathetic or emphatic, no, the right word is empathetic. Doesn't matter how empathetic you are, how good your empathy is, at some form you're going to have to do something called communication. Now in relationships they say that communication is the key to good relationships, except they don't tell you what to communicate about. This is what we teach you in the Great Relationships University. And if you want to know more about that, go to greatrelationshipsu.com. So 3, expectation management is absolutely key. The first, expectation management, is what you can manage, what you can expect, managing what you can expect of yourself. So what does that sound like? What does that look like? Now I go more in depth into the expectation management, how to manage expectations on the Great Relationships U course. Visit that. But how does it sound like to manage your expectation of yourself? You say to yourself, do I know what I can provide in a relationship? Do I know what I'm about? If you know what you're about, you say to yourself, hey, this is what I'm about. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I can provide, and I know exactly what I'm not prepared to provide. And I will never communicate to someone or have them expect something which I'm not prepared to provide. For example, for me, I'm a proponent and advocate and only engage in open style sexual relationships. So I will never communicate to someone, or I will never engage with someone and have them expect that they will be monogamous with me, that I will be sexually exclusive to them. Never. In fact, they will know within 5 minutes, if they're worthwhile talking with, within 5 minutes, that I'm not looking for someone who would be monogamous with me. I'm very direct. I'm alarmingly direct. You must know yourself. You must know what you're prepared to provide and not prepared to provide, so that you can communicate it in the next 2, expectation management. The next aspect of expectation management is managing what you expect of them. And it's very simple to manage what you expect of them. You say to yourself, everybody's different. And everybody's incredibly different. And here's the important thing. Everybody is morally and ethically different from me. Even my siblings who I grew up with for most of my life, most of my childhood, and have the same values as me, taught the same values as me, grew up in the same environment as me, can have incredibly, wildly different moral codes and ethical codes. So I will never expect from somebody that they will ever look at things the same way as me. In fact, I will expect that they will be different from me, and so I will communicate appropriately. The third aspect of expectation management is managing what they expect of you. It's a backward format of the second one. It's you're managing what they can expect of you. What does that look like in terms of managing the speed of relationships? And so I like to communicate in this term that, hey baby, this is what I'm prepared to provide. Here's what I'm not prepared to provide. You know that I'm only looking for an open relationship. And here's the thing. Here's what I communicate with someone who is my friend, who I consider as a friend, considers an amazing person, who I also find yummy, is that I say to them, I wanted to communicate with you something really interesting. I'd like to know your take on it. We are unbelievable friends, and I think you're an amazing individual, you're an amazing person, and you're an amazing friend of mine. And I don't want that to change, but I do want to introduce something that's been on my mind. Here, the interesting thing is that we have a fantastic arrangement. I'm a guy, and you're a girl, and that's an amazing, an awesome thing. And because I'm a guy, I also find you yummy. Now, it doesn't matter whether it happens now or it happens later or happens sometime several years from now, but I'd like for you to know that I will never fuck you over, but I'll gladly fuck you over and over. And none of our relationship ever need to change. In fact, our relationship can grow better and better over the years, and we never had to have sex. But I'd just like you to know, just so in case you consider it, I would really love to engage with you in that way. So that's something that sounds like how I would escalate. Now, because everybody's different in the way that they appreciate things and the level, the modality in which they progress in the relationship, the way you find out whether or not your escalation will be appreciated is you communicate exactly what's on your mind. The thing that's preventing you from doing that is you're inhibiting yourself, right, and thinking for yourself that they might not appreciate my complete, direct, open communication. What I mean by direct, when I see somebody who I find yummy, I tell them, hey, I think you're incredibly sexy, even though I don't know that individual. You look like you look amazing. You look incredibly yummy. I'd like to get to know you better because I don't know who you are, but sometimes in life, opportunities occur when you find someone yummy and they're also incredibly smart. And I'd like to know if there's more to you than meets the eye. That's what it sounds like to escalate. If you find value in that, share this video with people that might appreciate it. Again, go to greatrelationshipsyou.com to learn more about communication and expectation management. I dive deep into that, and relationships management. I have a 4-hour video course on relationships itself. And I encourage you to get my book, Relationships 101, on Amazon. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.